But today we're going to have towers as a focal point and tower maintenance, and we're going to look at it from two different directions. And I'm pleased to have Alex Feulgraf with me. Alex is the head of Feulgraf Chimney and Tower.
Correct.
In
Yep.
Where are you located, Alex?
We have a shop just outside of Nashville in Gallatin, Tennessee, and one right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Butler County.
Good. So you've got two operations there. Um, Alex was referred to me by Mary Shelley
Mhm.
from Broadcast Depot, and he has a lot of experience from the standpoint of installations and maintenance. And where I'd like to start, just give us a quick tell, Alex, of what it is that you guys do.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me on here, and hopefully, we won't take up too much of you guys' time this afternoon. We're uh, we're a tower contractor. We're primarily tower lighting. We've been in business since 1946. I'm the fourth generation, and swore I'd never work for my dad, and here I am. This is all I know, and I love it. Um, like I said, we primarily focus on tower lighting, so anything from 100-foot towers, 150-foot towers to 2,200-foot towers. We're getting ready to start a project up in Iowa and a 2,000-footer up there, and we work coast to coast because this is what we specialize in. And there's not a ton of contractors that specifically work on the lighting stuff. Um, Not only do we run crews, we do a lot of kitting. We sell a lot of parts. We make a lot of aftermarket parts for systems that the manufacturers don't make parts for any longer. We do a lot of custom kitting, specialty stuff. We do a lot of work with like AM stations because it's a different animal compared to a FM or TV broadcast. We do a lot of custom controllers for specific sites. Just we're real. We like to attend to our customers' needs, and so we do a ton of custom stuff. And like I said, we travel all over the place. We run crews. We do tech support. So if it has anything to do with the lights you see flashing on towers at night, we're involved with it.
So you're more on the lighting side than on, say, the construction side.
We are. In the last couple of years, we've uh, started to expand kind of what we do. We specifically stayed in the lane with the tower lighting, but we've had so many requests over the years to get more into the antenna work and site construction, and we have the equipment for. When we're rigging these big towers, we have the same tower hoist that the tower builders are using. So we have the equipment, we have the personnel. I got a foreman right now that's been working towers for 34 years. The guy can knows everything there is to know about towers. He's done every aspect of it, and we're expanding a little bit. We're getting there, but
Mhm.
we're working our way into it.
Well, I'd have to suggest that if you come out to, let's say I ask you to come out and give me a quote on lighting and things like that, you're going to do a check around the tower or towers to see what condition the tower is in, whether the tensioning is still proper. Uh, Before you want to climb one of those things, you want to know that it's a good tower.
Right, our guys will inspect every tower before they get on it for their safety, and um, we do a class on it. They know this is what they do for a living, and I trust these guys. When you do the job we do, you gotta be really close with your team, because if things go south, these guys are the ones that are going to save your lives, and I trust these guys, no questions asked. And we've had a couple of sites where we've been to, and they're like, I'm not climbing that. We're not this thing. If something needs to be done, and at that point, we'll type up a report, get it to the customer and stuff. But when you're getting to where guy wire anchors have a quarter of the steel left on them, and or we've got the towers where guy wires were snapped, or you could see the towers leaning. It's not. We're not gonna put anybody's things in danger. So yes, we do run inspection. Not a extremely detailed one, but we're checking all the safety aspects, make sure there's no issues. And if anything pops up, even while we're climbing a tower or whatever we're working on, that's all reported to the customer, because the only way they know about this stuff is either they find out because something's not working, or fault comes off, or somebody tells them.
Absolutely. Well, the primary thing that you and I talked about and that I'd like to address here is the lighting itself, the LED versus the incandescent. And there's two aspects. One that you brought to my attention that I kind of knew but didn't really know, and that is finding the bulbs for the incandescent beacons now is getting harder and harder.
Right. We were notified a couple months ago from just the manufacturer. We've been getting our PS40 lamps for the big incandescent lights. That what they had is what they had to sell, and the Department of Energy said they're not allowed to be produced anymore. Um, Barry and I have talked about this several times, and I wanted to have something before we did this directly from the Department of Energy, but so far I haven't been able to. And I told Barry, if once I do get something directly from them, I'll give it to him and he can distribute it if anyone wants to see it. But essentially, what they did was take a list of the most power consuming thick lights and lamps and tubes that are out there. And part of the green initiative is they stop production on them. So as far as what I've been told, and like I said, this is the people that have been making them for us forever, and I don't know why they would tell me something not to sell, but they've received notification from the Department of Energy that what there is in stock is what's allowed to be out there, and once they're gone, that's it.
So in a couple of years, it's either find something from China or Russia if they're importable, or
Right.
move over to LED.
And there will be, I'm not so naive to think that someone will be able to get them from somewhere, but then you get into an aspect of quality, whether they last or you can switch it to, an LED.
Exactly, exactly. Well, let's talk LEDs. And one of the reasons that I first broached the subject, somebody came up and asked about the LEDs and whether they're visible with the IR for night flights and things like that. And then the other question comes up, and again, you mentioned this to me in our chat. How long do the LED lamps it last? They're not a forever deal, are they?
Not forever, but they'll last longer than a light bulb. You know, we've oddly enough, yesterday, the day before, I talked to a customer that we put Generation One LED beacons on their tower. It was either 11 or 12 years ago, and we've been there one time. They blew a power supply. They got a surge. Lights have been working, but he's had one that finally has gone out, and he's ready to. He doesn't want it fixed. He wants to just replace it. The way he looked at it was, I haven't touched them in 10 years. You guys haven't had to come up here and work on them. Whereas it used to be almost a guarantee we'd be up there once a year doing a relamp. And he's happy with them. So we're moving them. There's the lifespan. They come with a 7-year warranty if you get the dialight system, which is unheard of in tower lighting. If you used to get a 1-year warranty on xenon stuff, it was like, holy smokes. Most of the time it was a 90-day warranty. So there's a 7-year parts warranty. We're not specific just to dialight, but we are, full transparency. We're a distributor for them. We've been around since 1946. Dialight wasn't making lights there, so we've been distributors, and we still sell parts for any major lighting companies out there. But at least with the dialight stuff, we've got a 7-year warranty, and they've proven themselves. I know a lot of the other ones that are out, Flash, they make a good light. ITL makes a good light. All these, they've figured out the kinks. Most of them are on their second, third, fourth, fifth dialights on their 6th generation of them. So originally, the first LEDs that came out were the same size as the incandescent beacons, and actually heavier than them. Now, I believe they're about 14 pounds, and you don't have to rig the tower to get one up, or you can hook one on your harness and just climb it up there with you. So the size has gotten a lot smaller, which reduces wind load. It makes it quicker installation, so it keeps your cost down of putting it on.
Well, that gives us two questions here. First of all, yeah, every time you climb the tower, there's an expense, and for the incandescents, changing them every year, you're going to spend a lot of money. And how would that compare to, say, 10 years on an LED?
Well, at least the power consumption. I'm going to share a screen with you guys here in a minute, but there's a lot of costs that people, you may or may not consider when you have a crew out, and I know what it costs because this is what we do. Somebody has to coordinate it. Someone has to know that there's a problem going on and file the note on, and then the biggest thing is a lot of times we have to get these towers shut down or reduced. And most companies I know, you make your money on advertising, and if you're not able to advertise, you're not making money. So there's a lot of cost for that once a year or whatever it is, and sometimes it's more than once a year shutting the tower down to do it. On the other hand, the cost savings just in the energy alone is pretty remarkable. And if you give me 1 second here, I would like to show you.
I would
While you're looking for
imagine.
that, I'd like to jump in for a second and mention an experience I had at KRLA. No, this was at KBLA when we first put tower lights on the incandescent light. No, I mean LEDs on 4 towers. We didn't have everything finalized, but we wanted to get it illuminated in a hurry, so we rigged up just an extension cord and plugged it into the wall outlet in the room there. And I thought, this is amazing. The power consumption is so little on 4 towers. I can plug it into the wall and make it work until we got our controller all wired up and finished. But it was a big reduction compared to the old incandescent bulbs.
With it's pretty incredible on 2,000-foot towers that we do red light systems on. We run 14 gauge wire the whole way up that tower. Whereas incandescents with the current drop or the voltage drop and everything getting up there, I mean, we're running. Sometimes they're running, eights, or I mean, fours, sixes to get it up there. It's just incredible, the difference. I'm not going to sit here and go through every number on here with you guys, but I did do just a quick kilowatt comparison with an A2 incandescent system versus a A2 LED system. The incandescent lamps, each bulb 620 watts, so each light's 1,240 watts together. And then the incandescent side marker lights, if you got the proper ones in there, is 116 watt bulbs versus a LED beacon with the infrared in it that's 7 watts. And if you
7
go,
out of 1,240?
yes, yep,
Wow.
yeah, and just there's a lot of math on here, but I always like to be transparent and show everybody this is where I'm not just pulling these numbers out of the air, but we're looking at 19,000 kilowatts for the incandescent system versus 92 with LED. And I just picked Nashville because this is where I'm at, what their rates are per kilowatt hour. And the math on it, I mean, you're paying less than $10 a year for a system. One other thing too is a lot of the incandescent systems are still with their original FAA determination on how the lights had to be. The new rules, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar, but there's probably some that aren't familiar, that the new avian obstruction lighting rules allow you to get rid of your side marker lights as long as you have more than one tier of beacons. By doing that, that's less equipment on the tower means less equipment that could possibly be an issue down in the future. So that's even less stuff you can get off, which drives our numbers down. So in this example here, in a year you're saving just shy of $2,000, and over the 7-year warranty, you're saving almost $14,000 over the warranty life, and that's just an energy cost. That doesn't include, the man hours that the station's engineers or maintenance people have to, the time they got to put into it. That's not the cost of getting a crew out there. I know crews are expensive. I also pay our insurance bill, and I know the training that these guys go through. It's incredible, and we're extremely, extremely blessed with the guys we got. They are top notch. They do an excellent job, and they are trained. I mean, we're training every week, and you have to be able to go into these places. So there's a lot of costs associated, which drives up the cost of a tower crew. So if you just take the savings into energy, you're at 14,000. The crews and stuff. Your system in that 7-year warranty, you're making money on it by the time you get it. And I threw a couple extra benefits on here. That at least with the dial-light system, they now have a 7-year warranty on it, which is something new as of last year. It was a 5-year warranty, which was still incredible, but now they've added 2 years to it because the equipment works, and they know they can do it, do a 7-year warranty, and it's not going to affect them because their lights they just go and go and go.
Do they not dim as you go through those 7 years?
What's that?
Do they not dim down a little bit and lose their lumens?
If they do, it throws an alarm in a controller. They won't. They are, and I'm not the manufacturer, but I talk to the engineers over there almost daily. The lights are actually a little bit brighter than is required, so there is a little bit of leniency if they were to dim out some. But once they drop below the 2,000 candelas, which is the intensity of the lights for a red beacon, it will throw an alarm. And an alarm would have to be treated just like the light was out or anything else. It's at a spec at that point. Another thing with the LEDs versus an incandescent, and you can see I believe, can you guys see the picture there?
Yep.
Okay. With the incandescent lamps, and especially the side markers, I can't tell you how many side markers I've opened up and there's a bulb in there from Home Depot, just something that somebody found to put it in there because you can see a light. The light output of LEDs is very dialed in and precise and regulated, and it's not on an incandescent beacon. With an incandescent filament, back to the voltage drop we talked about on these big towers, it's going to light up whether you got 120 volts to it or you got 80 volts to it, but it's not going to be as bright as it's supposed to be. And with the LEDs, it's dialed in. Also, the optics of it are so that you virtually get rid of all ground scatter. So they're very neighbor friendly. Usually we run into the problems with mad neighbors with white lighting systems more so because if they get stuck in day mode at night, it's bright. But, I've had guys call me and swear up and down their brand new lights aren't working. And we check the controller and I'm like, I know this is crazy, but I need you to jump in your truck and drive about 1.5 miles and turn around and look at the tower. And they'll call me back and like, man, you're right. They're working. You just can't see them from the ground. And that's the way they're designed, is for the people that need to see them, which is pilots, not the neighbors.
Interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
I was just saying that, a couple other things on there. We had already mentioned that you're not shutting down, your signal, and you're not, you also reduce a lot of your liability with, having guys on your tower.
Yeah. Now you've got a 15-year, you have a 15-year expected lifespan.
Right. Yep.
Now you mentioned that most of the lights, the LED light manufacturers are very similar, although they don't have the 7-year warranty. If I were to call you up and say, I'd like to put in an LED system, would you just sort of naturally reach for dial light unless I specified something else? Or would you show the different, I guess where I'm headed now, let's just take a 300-foot tower, because obviously there's every range from 150 to 2,000. A 300-foot tower, what would an average LED installation cost?
With our crew on a 300-footer, I mean, I know because we do it. We could get it done in a day. Uh, I don't know, and the prices. Interestingly
Ballpark.
enough, at the end of last
Oh,
week, we just what's that?
ballpark.
Labor, I'd say probably around. I'm going to say between 35 and $4,800 for the install, and that's demoing your old stuff out, putting your new stuff on. Like I said, we could get it done in about a day, day and a half, depending what we're doing. But that's pulling all your old stuff off and running the new stuff on. With the shorter towers, most people now are going with the shielded cable because it's been around for such a long time. The method of doing it, and it holds up well. You got your foil shield in there, and then you've got a braided shield, which also adds some extra protection to it. So as long as it's installed correctly and it's fastened in the correct increments, so it's not flapping in the wind, beating off tower flanges or antennas or other stuff, it holds up really well. Of course, the taller towers with conduit and wire is going to be a bigger project. But
So the system itself, roughly what kind of ballpark we look at for a lighting system?
for an A1, I should have had this already, and I apologize.
Again, when we're looking for a ballpark number, Alex.
Yeah, I know, and I'm terrible at doing it. I mean, we're probably uh, for a 300-foot tower, you're looking at a A1. I mean, it's probably less than 4,000. I mean, it's not very much. You're in the grand scheme of things, your beacons are going to be around $1,400, $1,500, somewhere in there, and your controller is about the same price. Marker lights are roughly $140, $150. So it's not they're not a lot. They're a lot cheaper than they were when they first came out.
So for less than $10,000, you're saying that that's it for 10 years, maybe 15.
Right, absolutely. And depending on who you get in there, I mean, it's like I said, it's a day job. Usually, when we go out, a typical install on a 300-foot tower is we send a guy up. He's got the rope tied to him. We'll stop at the mid level where the marker lights are at. We'll throw a block there. Someone will come up behind him, cut the old conduit or the old cable loose, and we drop it down and move up to the top and drop all the old stuff off and start hoisting the new stuff up. And it's a 8-10 hour day, and they're out of there.
Is that including the control system as well?
Yeah. Yep. That's everything, top to bottom.
And obviously, if you're less than 300 foot, it's going to be a little less. And
sure,
if you're
yep.
higher than 300 foot, it can go a whole lot more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If we're rigging the man baskets on with our tower winches and stuff, it's a lot more. But in the grand scheme of thing, and like I said, I could praise our guys all day long. We could sit on here for 2 hours. I could tell you how great our guys are, but they're very quick at what they do. They're quick and they do it right. And so we've been able to keep our costs down because these guys get in, they know how to do their job. They do their job. They do it safely. And they're our best salespeople is the guys out in the field because this is a small world in the tower world. Everybody knows someone that knows this guy, and word gets around if you burn bridges, and we're very fortunate these guys realize that, and they do a great job.
Interesting. Got a couple of questions in the chat already. One of them is, are all these LED lamp assemblies fitted with the IR emitters now?
They are, yeah. Once the FAA changed the spec that all new lighting systems have to be contain the infrared. That's what we have, and that's what I stock here is all infrared stuff now, because why wouldn't you want the extra protection? The price was the same as the stuff without the infrared in it, but all the new systems do have the infrared in them. Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask one more question here before I throw it open. Anybody has a question, I'm sure you're willing to field.
Yeah.
And so get ready to press your space bar or your alternate day. The one thing I haven't asked is, are any of these LED packages designed just to fit the existing incandescent fixtures, or is it necessary to change them out?
So there is and never has been a certified LED like replacement bulb to replace the lamp. I've seen some out there, stuff that's been put in, but and every time I see it, the first thing I do is just check on the FAA certified equipment list to see if it's on there, and it's not. And I've talked to them, there isn't. So you are replacing the whole fixture. But as far as like bolt pattern and stuff, you can reuse your brackets if you have side mount beacons where you got a shelf bracket. The bolt pattern lines up, so it's pretty quick change out, and it's a lot easier taking up 17 pounds and bringing down 84 than the other way. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So again, if you have a question for Alex, press your space bar or alternate A, and let's hear what's on your mind.
Barry, it looks like there's a few more in the chat.
Hi, Mary.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Okay, one question in the chat is, with LEDs needing less of a draw, do you need to change surge and lightning protection?
We have not seen where you need to. The dial-light controllers come with a lot of lightning protection built into them. Any external lightning protection you have there is always. We haven't found a case where it need to be changed out for anything different.
Okay. Someone asks here, what is the FAA AC that gives the requirements to eliminate the side markers?
What I can do, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I don't know what the easiest way to get information distributed out. But I could send you a link, Barry, to the forms to do it, and it's all done online now. It just you send it in, and what used to take a couple of weeks sometimes to get back, they've seemed to be getting back very quickly with the change for the new avian regulations. But unfortunately, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I'll get that to you as soon as we get off of here.
All right. I have a question here about, well, can you reuse the older, larger gauge wire rather than running smaller stuff?
Absolutely. We see that a lot with them. One thing that sometimes, depending on what you have on there, you can't use a factory controller because they're designed specifically for the way their system's designed. That kind of gets into what we've done for years, is build a lot of our own controllers that have SSAC current sensors on them that you can dial in. We have some customers that it just financially it was best for them to switch one beacon, an incandescent to an LED. So I'm thinking of one in particular. I just talked to him today. In 2019, I believe it was. We sold him an LED beacon for the top, and now he's ready to switch his two side incandescents out with an LED. So we built him a controller with adjustable current sensors on there. Depending on how large that's what I'm getting at with that, is depending on how large the wire is, it may throw your current off enough. But honestly, even if it was wired the way the dial-light controller is, you calibrate them, and I don't think it would be an issue.
Very good.
So yes, long story short, yes, there's a way to do it.
All right. Here is some contact information for folks. Phone numbers, and it's from your website.
Yep.
ChimneyTower.com. Any other questions, folks? Alex, I think you've really
Barry, I do have one on
All
the
right.
infrared edition. They did about what year was that done?
The infrareds, I believe it was finalized in 2019. Was when.
Okay, so some dial-light LEDs that were put in back around 2001 will definitely not have that feature.
They had them available. It wasn't like if you just called me and said, "Hey, I need to replace a LED beacon on my tower," I would have just sold you the regular one, not that. So no, they won't have it in there.
Okay.
It was special order at that point to get the ones with infrared. Um, but yeah, it was about 2019, and like I was saying before, your determination from your tower when you put your lights on originally, unless you've got it updated, which someone there would have had to have gone and do it, you're locked into that original determination you got. So you had to follow the rules of what the FAA regulations were at that point in time when you got your determination. It would
Yeah,
just be
right.
if you updated your system, or say you wanted to do the avian stuff, where you wanted to eliminate your side markers, then they would want you to bring it up to the new specs.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
We have a question here. Any interesting incidents found once on top of a tower?
How much time you guys got? We find all kinds of crazy stuff. A lot of bird nests. They'll sneak up on you. I don't know how. As far as the just crazy stuff you see on towers, we've seen it all. We've seen missing cross members on towers that we didn't find until we got 1,500 feet up in the air, which is big no. We found, like I said, lots of birds, lots of. I found a wallet and a cell phone sitting on it. I don't know at what point in time he remembered he left his wallet and cell phone sitting 1,600 feet up in the air, but I guess it was far enough down that he decided it was worth more to just go buy a new one and climb back up there and get it. One of the wildest stories I've heard was some guys that I worked under when I first started doing this was hearing a noise all day. They were actually up on a smokestack. That's where the chimney part comes in the name of our company. We work at a lot of power plants as well. And they kept hearing a noise and couldn't figure out what it was, and looked down the ladder, and a raccoon's climbing up the ladder. They're up, 300 feet, and the raccoon's just climbing up the ladder. And I was like, "What'd you guys do?" And they're like, "He climbed the whole way up here. We let him keep going, man." It was impressive to see. So you do see some crazy stuff up there. And of course, we've seen lights that were full of water that there's no explanation how that light could work, because the entire base of it's full of water, but it was flashing away. And I've seen lights completely melted from getting struck by lightning because the LPS was either burn up because it's one of these places that gets struck all the time, and it just, or that just bad luck, it caught that light instead of catching the lightning rod. So we see a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more than a few nests that you've discovered. And I know down in Florida, they have a large problem with the ospreys. And it's
Oh yeah.
there's a law.
I was on a tower actually up at uh, in Ohio, right on the lake, and they told me it was a dead nest. And I just came in from being out of town and climbed up there and popped my head over a rung to get eye to eye from an osprey. And I don't know who yelled louder, me or the bird, but it was not what I wanted to see at 7:30 in the morning, halfway up the tower. So yeah, there's a lot of them.
We could probably spend an hour with some good tower stories and everything, everything from guy wires and anchors to I've got a picture on the BDR of where a bracket literally rotted away, and there was this much of the empty space on the tower leg, just held up by a 1/16 of an inch of bracket, and
It's crazy.
got down very quickly off that one.
Yeah.
So, well, Alex, I sure appreciate your coming along and talking with us this afternoon. And again, happy to pass along contact information for anybody that needs it. Of course, your address is pretty simple. It's Alex at chimneytower.com.
Yep. And one quick thing, because someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and something I wanted to just throw out there is that we, you know, 'cause someone mentioned, some AM towers before we really got into it, and when LEDs first came out, there's an issue with getting them to work properly on AM tower, and it was a big thing that most of the LED manufacturers didn't even want to deal with it. They'd rather just pass on it and make it a thing. We had a customer about 5 years ago that had a 4-tower AM array, and they had LEDs on there now, except the problem was they didn't flash at the 30 flashes per minute. They flashed with whatever was being said over the airwaves. And they wanted it fixed, and we went in there and came up with to keep the cost down and the installation on the, everything has to be shielded on the tower. We made a galvanized armored cable with a PVC jacket, and we bonded it every 20 feet to the tower, put it on, mounted everything on the tower. And since then, that's been our kind of our we got lucky, and we figured it out on the first shot. I mean, we went in, we knew the what we used to have to do with some of the xenon systems on AMs. And so what I'm getting at is we've been able to successfully put LEDs on several AM towers, whereas I know that's been an issue for a lot of tower owners and a lot of companies trying to get them to work. So if anybody has been thinking about it or whatever and just would like to discuss it, I could kind of run you through what we did, show you the bill of material we used on that stuff and how we were able to get it to work. And so far it's been running flawlessly for whatever it's been, probably 5 years now. And we've done several since then.
Every new technology, you've got a little bit to deal with. And I remember back when the telephone system started to go electronic, and every radio station that was on 1600, they had music on hold without any effort at all. They actually had music on everything. But again, whether it be digital phones or tower lighting, the improvements over the years have made a big difference.
How much
Correct.
does it add to the cost to have day-night LEDs so you don't have to paint your tower? Anybody done the math?
It is a bit more, like I said, a red LED beacon. We're looking around the $1,500 range for the dual systems. I want to say they're closer to about 4,800. They're more expensive. But with the dual systems, you have the capability of choosing whether you want white at night or red at night, depending on what type of dual you want to be. It still has the infrared. The problem is you got two circuits. You've got a lot brighter light coming out of it now because you do have a day circuit of 20,000 candelas versus 2,000. So you actually have a light, and then you have a separate power supply box for the light itself. Whereas a red light system, you just have a base controller, and you could run 30 beacons off that one controller. It doesn't matter. But with the dual systems, each box will have its own power supply enclosure.
Very good.
And we've had customers that have asked us about that. Goes back to if you paint your tower. I've heard a lot of guys say it's typically 5 years is what they're looking for. We've done cost comparisons. I know it's not cheap to paint a tower either, so sometimes it works itself out. But if anybody has any specific towers or just wants a quote just to look at it, even if you're not ready to jump on it today, let us know, because we'll be happy to get you something just so you get an idea of what we're looking at.
Have you dealt with 50 kilowatt AMs with LEDs?
I'd have to look at what all the ones we've done, and I do have that information. Again, we work on so many different sites all the time. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head the ones we had worked on, what they were at, but I can find that information out and let you know what we've done them on. Like I said, the first one we did, they had an LED system from another manufacturer. It was all done, they did a good job. They did what they thought they needed to do it. It just, they couldn't get it to work. And we ended up putting the dialight system with this armored cable that we came up with, and just not came up with, but we got it made specifically for it. And it's been running excellent. But without lying to you, I would rather see and let you know exactly what the other ones were, because I don't recall.
But the LEDs will work with 50 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could get some test reports too. I know they have them for when they send them, at least for dialite. I can get them where when we send them off to get certified by Enertech. Um, they punish the lights. They want to punish them, so we, so that it's easier to find out when it's sitting in a room than when it's sitting at the top of a tower somewhere. So they really put it through the paces to find out, and I can see if I can find that information and pass it off to Barry, and maybe he can get it off to you.
Alex,
Okay.
I don't know if you mentioned this a while back, but if you did, I missed it. A few years back, they came out with this rule that said it was a rule written back in the early 1900s that birds fly into towers because some of the lights are steady and some of the lights are blinking. And some protection group came out with this deal that they made into a rule that said you're going to have to flash your side markers along with your beacons. Whatever came of that?
That is in place, and I'm glad you said that because I talked about the avian rules they have now where they got rid of the steady burning markers. But you are correct. So if you have an A1 tower where you just have a beacon at the top, and you don't have more than one level, you do have to have the side markers. And you are correct. You now flash the marker lights with the beacon. And the reasoning behind that is when, they say when birds are migrating, they see that red steady glow. They believe that's the sun setting and that's the horizon line, and they fly into your tower. So that was the argument to get it changed. And I guess they've been talking about it for years, but I guess it takes years to get the data together to present. But they presented a strong enough case that they said, yeah, we're going to get rid of side markers, and the ones that they do have, they want them to flash so that the birds don't believe it's the sun anymore.
So that has happened here, and you are changing them out.
It has happened, yes. Yep.
And when is the
And
requirement that it all has to be done?
there's nothing set in stone. Like I said, right now you're only held to what the standards were when you got your determination of your tower. Unless you start upgrading. If you're changing your stuff out and you're upgrading, then you have to come to the new specs. But if you got your determination in 1965 and you've still got the lights on, or you're just doing maintenance on them, you're held to the rules of 1965, whatever they were.
Like a grandfather thing.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Scott?
Oh, I was just mentioning that I've got a tower near Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, and the I've been getting bids for either replacing the existing red A2 system and whether repainting and keeping the existing red A2 system, or getting rid of the painting requirement and going with an E2 system, which is white day, red night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding the cost for both of them are about the same for as tall a tower as it's a little under 500 feet.
That's what I've heard from a lot of guys, that it's once you factor in the cost of painting, and we don't paint towers. Everyone I know that's done it's like, because I always said I want to do it one time. They're like, no, you don't. But that's what I've heard from a lot of guys. That the cost kind of evens itself out, whether you paint and go with red, or if you just eliminate the painting requirements and go to a dual system.
Well, I think that gives a lot of us a lot of things to think about in terms of what to do with the towers. And certainly there are those that may have a spare incandescent bulb on the shelf and want to use it before they give up. But from the standpoint of the electric use, my goodness, what a difference.
Well, and the cost of climbing the tower to change out the bulb, like that gets pretty expensive, especially if you're doing it once a year.
Yeah, you have to pay for the mobilization usually for the tower rigger, and then his time on the tower, and many of them are door to door. So you're not looking at $75 to change a light bulb.
No.
If your wiring is good, your tower light wiring is good, and I guess it would be the same amount relative to a short tower to a tall tower. It's a win-win deal to go LED because of the time of change necessary and the tower cost being cut in 1/10 over the period of time. It's the only way to go. And we had a dual light system in New Mexico that was white beacon on the top during the day and then red beacon and side markers at night. And we just simply changed out all the night stuff to LED and left the white beacon for the day. And that saved us money. And it's a money saver any way you go, unless it's a very short tower where you can climb up and change the bulbs yourself.
Right.
And I have a question. Has been an approval for just a direct screw-in replacement for incandescent markers with an LED of a type?
Unless it came out, in the last month or so, there's never been one that was approved for it. Honestly, and it was my old boss that told me that. He said, find a certified equipment list that has an incandescent beacon on it. He's like, they technically were never certified. That's all they had, but they're the lamps that go in them. There hasn't. I've seen LEDs in them. I've seen some prototypes and some stuff that guys were using, but I've never come across it on the certified equipment list that comes out from the FAA.
Well, they have watt conversion charts and they have color temperature conversion charts. I would think somebody would just be able to go down that and do a spreadsheet and come up with the equivalency. And I don't know why that hasn't happened yet.
They could, but when I look at that and a lot of these systems, a little bit older and stuff, the LED marker light, I mean, now that it has infrared, it has gone up a little bit, but they're, like I said, maybe $140 or whatever. To unscrew the base, put it on, not have to worry about the O-ring that's been in there for 30 years that's dry rotted. I know it is. I've seen them, especially once you crack that glass off there. That's the other thing. The glass manufacturers, what I've been told is that, the company that makes the Fresnel lenses for the incandescent beacons, they're out of business. They're not doing it anymore. I've had a lot of companies that have bought and made their own, got all the glasses made at one place, but they had their own beacons, were calling me out of the blue asking how many used beacons I had that were in decent shape, that the glass was good because they couldn't get the glass anymore. That's the next thing that's coming down the line is when this stuff breaks, and it will break, you can't get it anymore. I'm sure some of you guys have seen the incandescent beacons that has the white or the clear Fresnel on it and just has the red filter on the inside of it. Good luck finding one of those. We used to treat those things like gold when we were switching them out just to have on a shelf because we knew we had customers that had them, and we've used them all up. So I don't have them anymore. I don't know anyone that has any of those filters left anymore. At least guys that I talk to often. So the next thing is you're getting into, if that glass breaks on an old fixture, then you're going to end up spending twice as much, where you could have just went and screwed the whole light in. You got a good seal on it. It's designed for that, and you're done with it. And I really think that's the reason why nobody spent a lot of time to do it and then send it off to get certified by Enertech to do it. I think that's the only reason why.
Thanks.
Ryan wants to know if the 7-year warranty includes the rigger.
As far as the labor?
Yeah.
No, it's just an equipment one. We've had guys that insisted on a labor warranty. I'll tell everyone right now, if you get an included warranty in a price you get from something, trust me, they put money in there for it, because nobody can afford to lose money in this line of work. And I tell our customers, I'm like, I can put a warranty in there for you, but I'm going to have to throw the cost of a trip out there, but I don't think you need it. I think it's a waste of money. You're better off if something were to happen, and it's electronics, stuff goes, there's going to be issues. It's nothing's perfect with this stuff, and there may be an issue here and there, but overall, it's great stuff, and I just don't think it's worth it. I think you're better off just paying that one time if you got to bring a crew out to fix something on it, than to think you're getting this labor warranty that's actually built into the price, for a few trips.
Very good.
As far as our company goes, though, we always warrant initial installation. If we put a system up and, you got an issue, whatever, a month down the road and we get out there and wire popped out of a wire nuts, that's not your fault. These guys need to check and double check their work. So that would be a free trip for you and a butt chewing for the guy that didn't put the wire nuts on there.
Well, Alex, I sure do appreciate your spending time with us today and answering questions. And I know that folks could get to you directly or through Mary. And
right. Yep.
We hope to hear from you again.
Well, thank you very much, Barry, and thank you everyone for jumping on here and listening to me. And if, like Barry said, if you got any questions, reach out to me directly. I'm going to try to get some information to you, Barry, just so you have it. Maybe put it on your site, or if anyone asks you for it, or talk to Mary, and we work with Mary as much as we can. So thank you guys again, and have a good rest of your day.